housing recession started in June of 2022
Agreed.
due to low inventory and high rates.
Mm-hmm.
You think that was an actual recession?
Housing recession.
Why do you think that?
Why do I think it was a housing recession?
Yes.
Houses weren't moving as quickly. Like, I'm not talking. So I think you have to understand what he's trying to say.
Okay.
So, and you're only giving me bits and pieces of this, so I'm going to take your bits and pieces, and you could be setting me up for one of those, you know what the news does, where they take a little clip and they make it look like you're saying something to try to make you look stupid. Just so everyone knows, I'm getting bits and pieces of what Ben's saying. I think that he means a housing recession in a different sense of a housing recession.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It doesn't mean that housing got really bad and it meant there was such a demand and such a low inventory that houses weren't moving. As many houses weren't selling and moving as quickly as they typically do, especially if you factor in rising interest rates and the fear porn that was thrown on all the news stations,
Right.
and everybody sitting there talking about recession. Interest rates are so high. Interest rates are so high.
Right. My thought and why I wanted you to explain that is because when people say a housing recession, what comes to mind? 2008.
Right.
So people, housing recession.
But that wasn't a recession. 2008 wasn't a recession. That was a depression that they called the Great Recession because of whoever was in office at the time wanted to spin zone it.
Right. That was, and that's the thing. It's completely different.
Completely different. There's not fraudulent mortgages.
Right.
There's, oh man, here we go. The reason I say, oh man, I know what I'm about to get into, and that's why I say, oh man. So why I say, oh man, is because people need to be smarter. It's our job. We're bringing it to them. And don't take everything we say on this show as fact. What I want you to do is take what we say, investigate it, look into it, and come to your own conclusions. When I say look into it, don't Google things and click on Fox News or CNN or Yahoo News or whoever it is that you go to for your quote-unquote trusted news source. Let me explain something. You can't trust them. You can't trust them. What you need to do is you need to go and look at the data. If you are truly interested, if you truly want to know what's going on, check the data, right? So here's what I have to say. There's 3 million more people in this country than there were in 2017. There's even more people than there were when I read that stat prior to probably August or something, right? So there's maybe closer to 4 million more people in this country. Guess what's not happening quickly enough? Just guess. Homes aren't being built.
Yeah.
Homes are not being built quickly enough. So if you have an inventory and then you add 3 million people, right? And then you look at household formations and so on and so forth, and you have baby boomers who don't want to give up their homes. And then you have, your millennials and your Gen A, B, C, D, Zs, whatever, Gen X, whatever we're on now, right? You combine the millennials and the generation right behind them, and I forget what they're called. They're looking to do what? Purchase their first home. So you have the biggest generation of the baby boomers, and then you have the next two generations, millennials and the ones down, which they aren't the next two generations, but they're the two generations coming into household formations and stuff. Yeah. You combine that generation, it's even bigger than the baby boomers, and you throw in 3 million more people in this country than in 2017, you have what I call an inventory issue, a massive shortage. That's what's happening. So when they say housing recession, it doesn't mean housing prices are falling. It means as many home purchases aren't happening because people aren't willing to move and there's too many people. So what's happening is I shouldn't say there's too many people. That's a bad choice of words. I think that we don't have enough people because we have a labor shortage in this country. So we need more people, but as part of needing those more people, we need more homes, more places to live. So the recession comes from the amount of homes being bought and sold, and that hasn't slowed because housing's bad. That has slowed because there isn't an inventory and there's a bottleneck and everything is stuck here. Okay. And we need to do something to get more inventory to get houses moving. Because if you had more houses for sale, more homes for sale, you would see a higher number of purchases.
Because the buyers are there.
The buyers are there. You don't think so?
No, they are there. I agree.
So
I completely agree.
so you just wanted me to do that.
Yes. No, I mean, I just thought that was a great talking point. I mean, because I think that's something that a lot of people still don't fully understand because of what you said about the news media and everything like that. That's
Right.
just something that still needs to be said.
Well, the other thing is they're trying to stop inflation, right?
Right.
So I don't know if people understand how closely tied our government and its agencies are to these major news conglomerates. I don't care if it's Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, what is the other one, CNBC?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's any of them. These news stations are closely tied and get fed information from the White House or whatever the government agency is you want to look at. It doesn't matter who's in office, right? They're being fed this information, and they're putting this information out because there's a narrative that's trying to be spun. And right now, they're trying to do what? Lower inflation.
Yeah. By raising rates,
By doing what?
raising rates, by lowering employment.
Oh, right. So they want to tell everybody how bad the economy is, and then they want to do things like throw out the fact that Amazon's laying off 18,000 workers, and they think that the number one way to lower interest rates is going to be, at this point, lower inflation rate is to raise interest rates. And guess what, people? You can't have a job.
Nope.